Hey, welcome to the Backwoods Gourmet. Today, I'm going to do something I have never done before. That's oxtails in the Dutch oven, so stay tuned. First thing you're going to need to do oxtails in the Dutch oven is a lot of time, okay? If you guys have ever made this dish before, you know it takes about 3 hours, all right? I'm expecting that time to be a little lower in the Dutch oven just due to its nature. But we're going to try to cook it on some charcoal, but we're going to try to save some time for you guys. We're going to start over on the propane burner. Now, if you got your campfire at camp, that's going to be a great opportunity to use that tripod there, get that pot a little hotter for the first part of this recipe. So here's the ingredients you're going to need for the first part of this recipe. Here are our oxtails. We got 3 pretty good size ones. Well, a little bitty baby one over right here. That must have been the last bit off of them, but those are decent size. They got a nice amount of fat on them. I like that. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to season them. After we put a little bit of this truffle oil, we're going to rub them with some truffle oil, then we're going to season them. And there's things you're going to need for seasoning. We got thyme, ginger, onion powder, and a good all-purpose seasoning, this salt, pepper, and garlic. So that covers all the other 3. I've got some all-purpose flour over here and a little bit of cornstarch we're going to use. Today we're going to be using the big number 12 Dutch oven, and I considered using the Lieutenant Dan here, you know, the no legs Dutch oven, but I looked at this amount and I'm like, I'd rather have this space because there's going to be a lot of ingredients. This is just the first step. So jumping into this thing right here real quick, I'm going to go ahead and take my truffle oil. I'll give that a pretty generous little drizzle of the truffle oil. Then I'm going to go ahead and just turn those around in there and get them all coated in that. The truffle oil is going to do a couple things for us. It's going to bring some flavor to them. It's also going to give a binder for the seasonings to kind of stick and marry all up. So get them all coated there good, reel that, and then I'm going to wash my hands and then we'll season them up. So instead of trying to put all the individual seasonings on the meat, I'm going to season the flour, about a tablespoon of each one of these, and that's going to of course get cut down by the flour. That's your onion powder, ginger, very important, the ginger, I think. And believe me, there's a million different versions of this particular dish. It was made to be something inexpensive to make. Only about a teaspoon of the thyme, and then to help thicken this later, we'll go ahead and put a little bit of cornstarch in with the flour. Alright, we're going to mash that all up good, and then we're going to dredge these pieces in this mix. Alright, so we just mixed all that up, so we're just going to go ahead and dredge our pieces very well. We want to get all the surfaces coated with that mixture. Get them in there, roll them around. You can do this however you want. We'll try to do them one at a time. And we're not going to toss this flour mix out either. This is going to be something we're going to save for later when it comes time to make gravy for these guys. And again, this is my own recipe for these oxtails, so it's going to be very similar to the way we do it osso buco, and you're going to see some of those ingredients come back over. Definitely going to be layering a lot of flavors in with these guys. Okay, and my little baby one, I don't even know if he's worth messing with. He'll add some flavor, I guess. And I will let these guys hang out for a little while in the dredge. So we got the Dutch oven on, the propane burner. Just preheating a little bit, kind of a good dash of olive oil. Got about just enough to get the bottoms of them going. I'm going to give them one final kind of toss around in the flour. Some of it's starting to get tacky. Believe me, that flour and that cornstarch is going to automatically make our gravy for us a little bit later. Now we're just going to brown these guys really well on all sides. So I've got about a half a chimney of Kingsford. So we're going to conserve charcoal because we're going to have to do this a couple times during this process. I'm going to go ahead and lay out about 5 or 6 on the bottom. I don't want a ton of bottom heat. Alright, let's grab our tool, bring our Dutch oven over. We drained off about 3/4 of the grease that was in there. I do want to maintain that nice brown flour that we had. Alright, let's add some ingredients. Alright, so there's a little, still some heat left in that pot. It's coming back up a little bit gently. Going to just dump in all of our veg. And that's cold, so it's going to take a little bit of our heat out of there. So basically we got a Mirepoix with the Trinity combined there. And the first thing you want to do is go ahead and give that a good stir around in there to pick up that brown flour off the bottom. It's also got that seasoning in it, remember? So we may bring a little bit more of that back as this cooks. Let's go ahead and let that start sauteing down. No need to count coals, just put a solid ring all the way around the outside of your rim of whatever size oven you're using. Obviously, the bigger the oven, more coals you're going to use. Believe me, it all works in the end. And I call this the Backwoods gourmet method because you don't have to do any math. Just put one solid ring all the way around the outside with all your coals touching. Works every time. Been about 5 or 6 minutes on the veggies. See, they're going along pretty nice there. The pot's gotten nice and bubbly. A little action on the onions there. So go ahead and put our oxtails back in, and we'll try to nestle them in there amongst them veggies. And the little baby. Alright. I'll put the lid back on her. I'll let this fire burn out. We'll check on it in about 30 minutes. I did bring in, as these, the last few remaining, put a few under the bottom and a few more on the top, because I know when we do this next step here coming up, it's going to take a lot of heat out of the pot. So I want to keep that lid open just as little time as possible, because every time you take it off, you're going to lose your heat. So let's go ahead and take that back off of there. Pouring in that beef broth. Just going to start our braise. I want it about halfway up them. Okay. Don't forget your W sauce. couple tablespoons. That'll be us home till it burns out. And then we'll reset, start the next part, and set up a whole new set of charcoal. So we just reset the coals the first time. I took some of the little ones that were on there and kind of moved them around the middle there. Let's go in and take a look. I know it smells really good. Okay, so that's simmering along very nicely. What I'm gonna probably do is just go in, turn those oxtails over, and get a little top heat on the other side. So the next time these burn down, we'll keep developing that sauce. So we had a little bit, a couple tablespoons of orange juice. Gonna bring the sweetness. And then about a cup of red wine into that. Give that a good swirl around. Turn these over one more time. They're just about fall apart tender. Alright, go ahead and put the lid back on, and we may have to fire just a few more coals to get all that back up to boil. Let's go ahead and just kind of tap these coals a little bit. See if it'll come up. If not, we'll fire up some more. Alright, so I think this whole deal is done. It's cooked down very nicely. The sauce got a beautiful color. Those are super tender. Alright, so what we're going to do, instead of firing up another batch of charcoal, we're just going to go ahead and first we're going to skim the fat off of this, then we're going to make a beautiful gravy. So what I'm going to do is just take a ladle and I'm going to carefully move the oxtails aside. You can tell there's quite a bit of fat, and you just take a ladle and just barely put it below the surface, and most of that fat will just sitting on top. It's almost 100% fat. Now you don't have to do this, obviously. It's very rich. People wouldn't have done this in the old days either, because that fat has a lot of nice calories, sustenance to it. We had a pretty good layer of it on there, but you can do this easily with a ladle, skimming a lot of that fat off. And even when you have it in a ladle like that, you can still pour just the grease off and keep the broth, most of the broth in. But if you don't have time, don't worry. Alright, that looks pretty good, and we took quite a bit. That's probably half a cup of just pure beef fat. Put that out of the dish. So instead of firing another charcoal, I'm going to go ahead and put it on the propane burner. We're going to thicken up that gravy. And don't forget, Next, you're gonna get your plate. It's only take like a minute to bring that up to a bubble over here on the propane stove because it's already pretty hot. Here's some of that flour we dissolved in water from the very beginning of the video. Okay, same flour that we dredged the oxtails, the seasoned flour with a little bit of cornstarch. Just put that a little bit of water in and what we had left over. Man, I wish you guys were here to smell this. It's pretty important though, you have it up to a nice bubble. Just didn't want to fire up a whole bunch of charcoal again to bring it up to a bubble. And I knew we could do it really quick here on the burner. It's getting kind of late. Try to get this video up for you guys tonight. Alright, cut that thing off right there. And that is ready. A bite of that. I know you do. Let's go ahead and give it a taste test. See, it's fork tender. A little bit of that gravy. That right there, guys, is awesome. So if you like what we're doing, please smash that like button right down there for another great Backwoods Gourmet video. It's going to be right up there. And for a whole playlist, cast iron and Dutch oven cooking, going to be right up there. We'll see you next time.